Good morning. This is a day when I do my first ever fan art. This is a scene from Final Fantasy, the video game. I really hope I'm right about this because this is actually a card for my son. He's going to be 38 years old on Monday. And I got him as a gift this book about Final Fantasy. Check that out. I got it at Barnes & Noble. And it's all sealed in plastic, so I can't even open it. But I'm keeping it that way. Let him open it. But I wanted to give him a card, so I did a fan art card. Now, let me tell you something. Fan art does infringe upon intellectual property rules, rights, laws, whatever you want to say. But I'm not selling it. So those people who are in the legal department of Final Fantasy, this is just a gift to my son. It's just a card that I'm giving to him. But fan art, for all of you artists, fan art is a big industry. I don't know how the people who make money with fan art get around the copyright laws. There might be some kind of licensing thing you have to pay for or agree to or be gifted or something. That's not something I know anything about. So if you're watching this video to learn how to legally do fan art, you are at the wrong video. But if you want to see how I painted this greeting card for my son, it's a birthday card. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. Well, this is the video for you then. What were the challenges on this one? Oh, there was this sun behind the silhouetted hero. You know, it's the silhouetted hero is not pure black around to the edges of the sun. The sun is coming through. That was kind of a challenge. And then some of these distant buildings and things, and the castle and that crazy looking crystal-esque mountain. And so those are the challenges. But I'm telling you, if you can see it, you can paint it relatively easy, okay? So don't be scared away. If you want to do fan art, just for yourself or for a friend, maybe that's okay. I don't know what the copyright laws say. If I get a notice, like from any of the copyright owners about this particular painting, I will let you know. I hope I don't get such a notice. My son's been a Final Fantasy fan since he was a little boy. And so enough of the intro. Let me show you how I painted this right now. Good morning. Well, today is July 13th. And it's 2 days before my son's birthday. My son will be 38 years old. That's why I'm a papa. Yes, he's the father of my grandson, of course. And when he was younger, he loved video games. And one of his favorite video games was called Final Fantasy. And I can remember very little about the game, although we lived in a small house and everything that we did was in the living room. So he didn't we had separate bedrooms, of course, but I was a single dad, and he would play his video games in the living room on the family TV, which was not large at all. And he would and I would always be doing art. I always had my drawing board in the living room before there was anything called digital art, by the way. Everything I did was on a drawing board. And he would play the games, and I would, of course, look up at the games and express interest in what he was doing and ask questions about what he was doing, and sometimes I'd make him laugh, because I'd say, "What the heck is that about?" Or, I'd say little things like that, and he'd giggle, and of course, being the dad, what do I know? Because I really did know nothing about those games. Now, those games were a mystery to me as anything could be. But anyway, like I say, one of them was called Final Fantasy. And so today, for his birthday, I wanted to do a landscape from that game. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure I found the right one online. I'm not even sure this is from that game. I hope it is. I hope this is from Final Fantasy. I don't really know. But there's a guy here. Here's this guy. Okay? And he's walking somewhere in a landscape, so I have to make sure he's there. Gotta make sure I remember the sunlight coming through here. So I'm probably not going to do it exactly the way it shows. Just like I do a lot of my landscapes, I take liberties with it. But there's a few elements in this one that I think I have to stick with. For example, there's a mountain in the background that looks like a castle in front of it. So I'm just kind of, there's the guy right there. There's the setting sun. Maybe there's I don't think I need anything over there. That looks good. And then over here is going to be that big old angled thing. Looks like it's got ice at the top. I don't know what this is. But yeah, so by the way, if you are going to do a picture from a movie or a video game or anything, especially if it's the character, like I was tempted to do the character, like an example of a character would be Mickey Mouse, but of course Mickey Mouse isn't in this game. But yeah, those are all copyrighted, and there's a whole movement, or there's a lot of people who do something called fan art. So I want to talk a little bit about fan art, because I don't know, I'm not a legal expert on this. You might know a lot more about this than me. And see, this painting I'm doing for my son is not going to be sold to anybody. It's just for him. It's just a gift for him. So, and I got him a book from Barnes & Noble. It's a book about, well, you guessed it, Final Fantasy. I remember when he was little, I'd buy him the games all the time. Like every time there was a new one that came out, I'd buy him a game. And so he would always laugh, because I would say to him, because it's Final Fantasy, and then there's Final Fantasy 2, and then there's Final Fantasy 3. And I would make him laugh. I'd say, well, wait a minute, I thought it was the Final Fantasy. How is there a 2 if there's a final one? And that was, that's my little silly try to be dad. I am dad. Anyway, I loved being a dad. I still love being a dad. You know what they say? Your babies are always your babies. Well, that's the way I feel. I know they normally say that with mothers, but it's true with fathers too. I don't know why movies make it seem like it's different for fathers. We love our children as much as mothers do. Maybe there's some exceptions to that, but when you hear about people in the news that are just horrible. But anyway, my son, I love the fact that he's a daddy now, because I don't know, it looks like he's enjoying being a daddy, and maybe that's because he enjoyed being a son. I hope so. So here's that castle. Here's that mountain, which I don't know what it is, but I'll just kind of try my best to recreate it. I'm not doing exactly, because I'm messing up a lot, but it's got looks like it's got a lot of crystals or something in it. So there's the drawing, the basic drawing for our Final Fantasy fan art landscape. Oops. And here's the paint. Let's get started now. Looks like it's got an orangish, bluish sky, so that's the way skies are a lot, right? I gotta remember to put that sun in there. The sunshine. So let's get the blue in there first. And then I'll put the orange. A lot of this picture looks like it's grayish, you know? I probably should have wet the paper first. Oh well. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of fan art. I think they sell well for people like at Comic Cons and things like that. And I don't know how they get around the intellectual property rules. I don't really know how they do that. But they appear to. They appear to be making money from them. And if that's something you're interested in doing, fan art, then just do your due diligence, do your homework, find out what the rules actually are. And maybe it's something as simple as getting permission from the copyright holder, which would be the creator of the original thing, like in this case, whoever made Final Fantasy. I don't know who did, but again, I'm not using this one for anything other than as a gift for my son, and I hope I do a good job. I hope I get it right. How's that color? Oh, it's yellow. Yeah, let me put some yellow in there. Yeah, he loved Final Fantasy. He loved Zelda. And I have a purple there. I'm using my Winsor Newton paints today, by the way. I don't know why. I have no reason. It's just I don't want to not use paints just because I bought new paint. So I don't really have a good purple in here, I don't think. I'll have to make a purple with the blue. I have to give it a little. There it goes. There's a little bit of it. I just want to put a little hint of purple in here, up in the sky. Let's create all this. This has to be light. As you know, whenever you do a painting, to create light, you have to create something to contrast it with, otherwise it doesn't look like light. Just a very rough idea of a background here. And the sky. Yeah, 38 years ago, I became a daddy. It was an exciting time for me. It was the most special times. You know, when he was a baby, when he was a toddler, when he was a little boy, when he was a teenager, all of those things. I have fond memories of each one of those eras, I guess you would say. So, get some of this up here. Alright, that looks good enough for now. Alright, now while that's drying, I don't have a poem, by the way, today. I know I normally do a poem or something. I didn't know what to read for Final Fantasy. So see, there's the silhouette of the guy. That's got to stay. I got to do that after it dries. Let me let the water flow to the other side there. It's kind of pooling in a place I don't want it to pool. Here we go. Let me let it spread out. Final Fantasy. I feel very blessed to have been allowed to be a dad. I feel very blessed to be a grandpa or papa. I really do. I honestly think that, you know, when you get to heaven or you know how they say when you die you have a life review. Well, I'm going to have a life review, and I'm going to have some times where I have to apologize. I'm gonna say I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for being so stupid. I'm so sorry for being so stubborn. I think that was my big thing. I was stubborn. I wouldn't listen to wisdom from older people. Isn't that something? So I ended up, chasing that star, that musical star, thinking I was going to be like a songwriter. That's what I wanted to be. But everybody told me I had art skills. Why don't you do art? Why don't you do art? Why don't you do art? And I never did art. Well, I did it all the time. I just didn't pursue it as a career. That's the truth. I did it all the time. I was always doing it, just like I was always doing music. But, you live and you learn, right? There's no... Well, there are maybe some regrets. I don't want to say there's no regrets, but you shouldn't dwell on the regrets. How about that? How about that? You forgive other people, right? You should forgive yourself. Why not? Don't let it burden you forever. So, anyway, enough about me. How you doing? Hey, I started something new on this channel. I didn't start it. It's something YouTube offers. It is a community thing. And I thought I would try it to see if you guys like it. I posted something, and I'm not so sure how you see it, but I hope you see it. And I'll just keep learning each time I do. Every time I sign on to YouTube, I see something I didn't see before. Almost every time, anyway. Seems like it. Or somebody will tell me something. Did you know you can do this? Did you know you can do that? So there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Now see, this part right here has to be all hazy, so that really needs to be orange, and I need to wait for that other part to dry. So let me just go ahead and brush in some colors here. It's almost like a grayed out or washed out green looking here. And a lot of this stuff over here everything has to be washed out, kind of. But I'll do it. I'll figure out a way to do it. There we go. There's a mountain in the background, and it's kind of hard to distinguish it from everything else. There we go. Put a couple different layers of stuff back there. You know what I should do? I should make this area very washed out looking, I think. Put some orange in there too. Make it washed out. Just make sure it's all dry. Let's see, you know what? That new paint I have, this paint has a gray in it. Actually has a gray color. So I'm going to use that gray. Just take it out of the tray. I'm going to use that gray. I'm going to wash that gray right out of my hair. There we go. Let's put some of that in here. Where's the light coming from on there? Okay, it's darker than the sky. The artists that actually do the artwork on the video games, they mostly use, well, I'm going to say they all use nowadays, they all use digital art. So they're using Photoshop or Procreate or something like that. Yep, that's how they do it. It's very, very fascinating to watch. If you go to any videos from the professionals who work on the video games. It's very, very interesting. If I was a young man wanting to get into the field of art, I would probably go in this direction, because I think this is where the money is. I don't mean making a birthday card for your son. That's not what I mean. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, painting pictures on digital for video games. I might have to use some gouache on here to make some of these things. All right, I think it's dry. Almost dry, not quite dry around here. I can keep adding to the silhouette. I gotta make sure that part right there is yellow and orange. So yes, I'm learning about YouTube, and I'm learning about new paints, even the subject I should be well versed in, like paint. I'm learning from you guys. I think my son's going to get a kick out of the fact that I tried to do a Final Fantasy picture. He's going to get a kick out of it, I hope. I hope I pull it off. Let's make sure I got it all focused on there. See, I'm learning. See, the other day I had something out of focus and it was a mess. There, make that yellow right there and orange. Get some orange in there. Right here, right around the sun, where the sun is kind of bleeding into the image there. If I can do that. Hopefully I got it right. Let's get this black in there. I think I can do it now. I think this guy's name is Storm. I'm not sure if I got the name right. The character name. I think. Like I say, I don't know. It's a birthday card. Hey, Rob and I were looking at birthday cards in the store, and actually, store-bought birthday cards. And I know this sounds weird, but I was expecting them to be less expensive, but they're actually more expensive than if you make your own. I know that's not a big issue for most people if you can afford birthday cards. But it was something interesting to note, Yeah, the idea of blending these dark colors with these light colors, that's somewhat of a challenge. Because we want it to look like the sun is, hazing over everything. Let's go ahead and use some of that gray from the other palette. Make this area back here a little bit, just a little bit lighter. Yeah. All right, I'm going to use a different brush now. Try to blend this area here. I want to get these All these colors blending together. I could always make them darker. This is a weapon of some sort that this guy's carrying. So let's see. Spread this out a little bit more. The pencil marks are still visible there, so just try to make this. Try to bring the black over to the light, and the light over to the black, and see, with digital, you can kind of blend things differently than with actual paint. Use some of that gray right there. Put more of a defined edge right there. Boy, it's so early in the morning and I still hear sirens. You hear sirens all the time now. I think I can pull that in a little bit closer to the... Boy, the first responders are always available. Thank God for them. And God bless them. My nephew is a first responder. Alright, I don't know if that works right there or not, but I'm going to keep it like that. Now let me try to do this castle over here. This is a kind of a detailed thing a little bit. Looks like it's mostly dark. I might want to do this with the ink, I don't know. Sometimes these little dark areas are better with the ink. But I do think the final, that's a good word for this picture, but the final painting, if it's done in watercolor and it's a large dark area like this, I think it'll look better with watercolor than it would with ink. It'd probably look good either way, but I think the ink would be stark and the watercolor would have that little bit of a glow to it, a little bit of a watercolor look, you know. And we want to kind of make this watered down a little bit anyway. So my hope is that the watercolor will dry and fade it out a lot. A little spike right there. Here, and the distance, there's some things. See, I don't play the game, so I don't even know. Like I said, I don't even know for sure that this is a picture from Final Fantasy. I hope it is. Let's get these little pieces in here. Okay. There's some areas back there that need to be lighter, so I may end up using gouache to accentuate some of this. Let me use that gray now. Let me mix some orange with that gray. Try to create that mountain, that very crystal looking mountain. Looks crystallish to me. And the mountain is darker than the sky, so I kind of have to paint the whole thing. Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to be using gouache here. Just to get some of these light areas. Gouache is a great remedy for mistakes in watercolor. Let's keep getting the silhouette is kind of the real focal point of the painting. So we want to make sure we get the silhouette many layers dark, because it has a tendency to dry lighter than you put it down. And that works for you, you know, you can use that to your advantage. And sometimes it just gives it this cool iridescent look. Yeah, I was going to paint the character himself, but I don't know, I just like landscapes. And again, this is fan art, and fan art is probably illegal as far as if you're going to sell it. I don't think anybody cares if it's a gift to somebody. And it's a great way to practice, by the way, especially if you're interested in doing this as a career. You might want to try some of the different techniques. I would suggest you watch videos from the people who do it already as a career. Who can I name that I know? Let me just think about this, because I do know some of the names. Oh gosh, no, I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that one. It'll come to me, I hope. But anyway, just look them up. You might even know some of them. If you're a gamer, is that the right word, gamer? If you play games on video games, you probably know the credits of some of the artists. And if you're a musician, oh gosh, some of the music in the videos is so incredible. I don't know if you've ever really paid attention to the music in video games, but it is top notch. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure how that's all produced, but that's something you could, if that's interesting to you. That's what that's the part of art and music that nobody saw coming. When I was in school and they were trying to get us to understand what our lives would be like if we chose art as a career, they were basically saying we would be doing advertising. I lived in New York, so they would always say Madison Avenue, Madison Avenue, Madison Avenue. That's where you're going to work, Madison Avenue. That's what they all told us, and they were right at that time. That's exactly where we would have worked. And we would have done ads. We would have been illustrating clothing, underwear, and whatever. It was just what it was. And then photography kind of took over. And all of a sudden artists weren't as necessary until all of a sudden the movie makers and the video game makers, they all realized that they could have all this fantasy stuff if they could just get some artists to paint them and make them look realistic. And that's what changed everything. And now it's a whole industry, if you want to call it an industry. There are studios that do nothing except for art for video games and cartoons and movies. And you see them all the time. Look at the credits at the end of a movie. You'll see all of the animation artists listed, all of the special effects artists. And it's a world I don't know much about other than to have watched people talk about it on their videos. Nathan Fowkes, there's the name I'm trying to think of. Nathan Fowkes. Look up Nathan Fowkes. He is an amazing illustrator for fantasy things like video games and movies. He's worked on a lot of movies. Aaron Blaise is a guy who works in movies also. Aaron Blaise worked with Disney and Pixar and all of them. And he doesn't live that far from me, but I don't know him personally. Will Terry, and he has a group called SRS Learn, which is, I can't remember what that stands for now. SRS, I can't remember. I can't remember what their company name means, but it's three guys. Basically, it's Will Terry, he's a great artist. Jake Parker, another great artist, and don't tell me I know the other guy's name. His name is White, right? White. Wow, I'm sorry, sir. You're a great inspiration to all of us, but I can't think of your name. I bought one of his books even. So he's got a great style. I love his style. The guy who I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name, but he's got a great style. Alright, let me keep working here. Gosh, what is his name? Well, just like Nathan Fowkes. Nathan Fowkes. Did I say Jason earlier? Nathan Fowkes, just like Nathan Fowkes. I'll think of his name. Lee White, thank you. Thank you, brain. My brain popped in there and told me what it was. My natural intelligence popped in, as opposed to my artificial intelligence. See, I didn't need to Google that. It happened naturally. Right? Alright, we're making this all come together here. I made a mistake. I should have done this part first and then done that, but I didn't, so I gotta let it dry. Try to make this look like a little rock formation here. Instead of just a big black area, let's put some foreground rocks or something here. Where our guy is walking. He's walking, he's going into the city, he's ready for battle, or something, I don't know. just get this all blotched in here. Yeah, my son's gone 38 years ago. I made sure I had a house near his school. We had a dog. So every day after school, I would walk down to the school. That's how close we lived. I would walk down to the school with the dog, and I would walk home with my son. Now you say to yourself, how did you do that? Didn't you have a job? I did have a job. I worked in radio. I think I may have shared that with you. So how, if you had a job, could you walk home from school? Well, this is part of the blessing that God gave me. He gave me a job in the morning. See, I had a morning radio show. Now, I did have to go back. But if I wasn't on the air, I could take a drive. When you do radio, sometimes you go out and do remote broadcasts, or you go out and talk to advertising clients. So there's a lot of reasons you don't need to stay in the radio station. The only reason you stay in the radio station is to do the actual show. So once I was done with the show, which was always in the morning, and I did it with Robin, you probably know that, and I would go down to the school at the end of the school day, and I wouldn't drive sometimes I would drive to the school, but mostly I would drive home and then get the dog and walk the dog to the school. So when he got out of school, he always saw me waiting for him. I still have that very fond visual in my head of him coming through that door and seeing me standing there. See, I was blessed. Yes, when I get to see God face to face, if I ever do. If there is such a thing as seeing God face to face, I don't know. Maybe you have to be really high up there. I don't know, or maybe he can hear me now. I'm just so thankful. I'm just so grateful for the blessings I've had. I hope I'm not getting too mushy on you. But 38 years ago, my life became so much better, and my son was born. So he began his life, and I began a better life. How about that? All right. Obviously, I'm not doing this picture exactly as it looks, but it's close enough that I'm probably still infringing on their copyright. But like I say, I'm not going to use it for anything other than as a gift for my son. All right, this all has to dry, and it's blotchy on purpose. I want that to look blotchy, because after a while I'm going to put some green on there. Green. I mean some white. Maybe green. Maybe some light green. I don't know. This is my rendition of the Final Fantasy landscape. So I like this up here, all these little spires that are capturing light. There's a lot of light and shadow up here. All these little crystals. They're all being lit by that setting sun or rising sun, whatever it is. These little buildings down here. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of orange to that, it's a compositional decision. I don't really know what's happening in this picture. See, now I'm going to come back with this with gouache. And I'm going to add some highlights to some of these areas down here. I think it'll help. And I think our guy, our hero, our Final Fantasy dude, I think he's starting to happen here. Make it a little bit darker there. Just enough to see. Yeah, that Final Fantasy dude. I think I'm almost done with it. I think I'm almost ready to say it's done, but I have to add those little hints of white. So let me go ahead and get that. It has to be dry. It sort of kind of looks like it, like what I'm looking at in the reference photo. Alright, let me get some gouache. I have white paint. I don't know if white is better than titanium white. I just don't know the difference. Okay, I'm going to try the white. Little tiny areas in here where the light is like reflecting off of these little distant buildings. Pretty sure that's what I'm looking at in these pictures. Little tiny areas back here. Maybe even some on this mountain here. Some on this building over here. There's a building over there. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. Maybe some reflections on this castle too. Even though I don't see it in the screenshot from the video. Makes sense that the light would be hitting it. Would be hitting these spikes. Yeah, absolutely it would. That's kind of cool actually, isn't it? Even if it doesn't look exactly like the photograph. Try to do Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 2. How could it be Final Fantasy 2? I thought final is final. Final should be final. See if I can obscure some of those pencil marks. I don't want to ruin it. I think it looks alright the way it is. some things in the sky. I don't know what those things are. Just some things. A little bit more. Okay, come on. I think that's good enough. I mean, the tiniest amount of white. All right, now let me smudge the back of the card. Let me smear it around. And then I'll let it dry. Then my Final Fantasy fan art card is done for my son's 38th birthday. He's been playing video games since he was a little boy, but he still likes them. I hope. If not, then he's got a card from his dad. The dad who used to sit in the same living room painting pictures. Dad has always painted pictures. He's always painting pictures. What's the matter with that guy? Always painting pictures. I like the idea of messing this up a little bit. Smearing it a little bit, yeah. I like that. That kind of looks good. A little bit more character to the sky, especially around the sun. All right, I think I have the look I want. But I'm going to let it dry. Smear it a little bit more. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to turn off the camera and I'll be right back. Okay, I dried it. What I want to try to do, even though there's paint there, is I want to see if I can erase the pencil marks. Don't know if I can. I've never tried to erase pencil after I've painted over it, but in this case I kind of want to. Yeah, I don't think it's working. I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah, I don't think so. It's okay. It's alright. Alright, let me fold it up. There we have my Final Fantasy birthday card for my son. 38 years old. 38 years ago. He's 38 years old. You get it. You know what I'm saying. Alright. Well, there's his card. The video is done. Thank you for watching. Speak to you later.